I have disliked a majority of Disney Star Wars projects. These movies and shows have lacked the quality of story and writing that I'd come to expect from Star Wars as a child. But one of the few projects that I've thoroughly enjoyed is The Mandalorian, which managed to do something that we had never really seen in Star Wars, with the exception of Rogue One. A good Star Wars story that's not focused on Jedi and the Force. Even though the Force is present in this series and Jedi do show up, that's not what it's about. It has an intriguing storyline, well-developed characters, and exciting action sequences. The show also introduced us to Baby Yoda, or Grogu, an adorable, lovable addition to the Star Wars universe. I was excited to see what would happen next in the story of Din Djarin and Grogu as they join the effort to take back Mandalore in Season 3. However, what we got was a Bo-Katan series and just another flat, boring, slow entry into a franchise that's not doing so hot right now. Spoilers ahead if you haven't finished Mando Season 3. We're going through it all really quick, so if you haven't watched it, there's going to be massive spoilers here. So go ahead, turn it off, go watch it. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. Season 3 begins with Mando and Grogu reunited after the events of The Mandalorian Season 2.5. The Book of Boba Fett. Mando finds himself exiled from his Mandalorian clan because he removed his helmet in front of others. According to the Way, Mando must go to Mandalore and take a nice steamy bath in the living waters found in the Great Forge there. But the planet's atmosphere is believed to be poisoned for some reason, so Mando needs to find a droid that he can trust to test the atmosphere for him. Since he only trusts one droid, and that one droid is dead, or deactivated, can droids die? I don't know. Anyway, since IG-11's dead, he needs Apollo Creed and Babu Frick to revive IG-11 for him. Yes, they're bringing IG-11 back. Babu Frick needs one more part to reconstruct IG, so Mando heads back to Tatooine to ask that one lady, I don't really know her name, if she has the part they need. She doesn't, but has a droid Mando can use, so Mando's like, that's cool, good enough, and sets off for Mandalore. But as Mando is exploring, he's captured by some weird alien thingy that's just laying in the ground waiting for someone to pop out. Mando gets captured. Grogu, though, has a pretty cool escape sequence and goes to get help from Bo-Katan. He succeeds in getting to Bo's castle and getting her help, and she goes to Mandalore to save Mando. She saves Mando and takes him to the living waters, where he falls in and needs to be saved yet again. Bo saves him yet again and sees the mythosaur, which I guess is a sign that she's the leader of Mandalore or something. I don't really know. I'm sure it'll be explained in another spinoff. Anyway, Mando takes that steamy hot bath, so he's all good now to join the clan again. And Bo joins because she also took a bath and she's kind of bored. So she's a part of the clan now. They do a couple things with the clan, and then the New Republic guy shows up from last season. I think he's from last season. He pops up and goes, hey, your friends on Navarro are being attacked by pirates. I can't do anything because of the government. You should do something, though. And then Mando's asks his friends, hey guys, you want to go help these peeps? I'm sure they'll give you some land if you help. And they're cool with that and absolutely destroy the pirates inhabiting Navarro. Just like, it's not even close. Then the Mandos get the land, but Bo and the armor are like, hey, even though we just risked our lives for this land, let's ditch this place and go retake Mandalore. And they're all cool with that. So they start preparing to go retake Mandalore. And also, during this point, Moff Gideon escapes. Mando and Bo then have to recruit some other Mandalorians who are on this planet that Jack Black and Lizzo rule. Yes, this is an actual thing in Star Wars canon. Long episode short, they get to the Mandalorians and Bo defeats their leader, but he's like, yeah, dummy, no one's gonna follow you since you don't have the Darksaber. And Mando's like, well, actually, she saved me, so it is actually hers. And they were all cool with that and just start following her. Grogu is given IG-11's body to pilot for some reason, and then the Mandos go to Mandalore and get ambushed by Moff Gideon and his forces, who end up capturing Mando. All the Mandos are about to get out and escape with ease, but then the big Mando guy with the big gun is like, nah fam, I'm good. And so he just doesn't leave, even though he has a child back at the camp waiting for him. and he goes off and dies for some reason. It's a cool sequence, just really unnecessary. We're now in the final episode, and Mando escapes with the aid of Robo Grogu and go to find Moff Gideon. The rest of the Mandos are on the run until they get reinforcements and go to fight the Empire. Mando then has one of the best scenes in the series when he goes down that hallway with all the... Gosh, what are they called? With the shields like from Phantom Menace, and goes through one by one through this hallway of these shields and just absolutely kicks the crap out of all these special guards. It's such a cool sequence. Right after that, Mando and Grogu find Moff Gideon's clones of himself and destroy them all, which obviously does not please Gideon. He then finally reveals why he was cloning all the way back in season 1, and it was to find a way to give him the Force. He just wants the Force. Mando and him fight, and Mando is getting his butt absolutely kicked until, you guessed it, Bo-Katan comes flying in to save him. Bo then fights Gideon while Mando helps Grogu. Gideon is now kicking Bo's butt and even destroys the Darksaber right after asking her to give it to him, which doesn't make much sense, but we'll go with it. But now it's Mando and Grogu's turn to save Bo, and with the power of friendship or something, defeat Moff Gideon and destroy the base. The Mandos get Mandalore back, Mando finally adopts Grogu, and they decide to go back to bounty hunting and even just get a house for themselves. And then typical bad Star Wars transition, and we're out. We're gone. Bye-bye. Look, even though the season goes out on a good note, it feels really undeserved because of what we got in the season, which wasn't much. That's kind of the biggest problem with season 3, is not much happens. So much of the season is spent with the clan, and yet we barely learn anything about them. I would have loved to learn more about the armor, or at least something within the clan, something about Mandalorian culture. I don't feel like we get a lot with those sequences. All we learn is that Big Guy has a son, and apparently that's supposed to make us care about his death at the end, but it wasn't necessary, so it kind of defeats the point. I feel like these episodes, a lot of the time, were wasted time we could have spent on something else. Speaking of a waste of time, the show spends a whole episode, all of episode 3, for the most part, on the Imperial scientist, Dr. Pershing, I believe. And then, that's it. That's all we get from him. He is only in that episode. Honestly, you take that out. You take that episode out, and it does not affect the story at all. I don't even really know what they were trying to do with that episode, because all that it's set up could have been set up with a scene or two. You did not have to focus so long on this. It has nothing to do with taking back Mandalore. Sure, I guess it's kind of cool to see Coruscant again and to see what life is like for former Imperials. But, it doesn't need to be in The Mandalorian. It has nothing to do with Grogu. It has nothing to do with The Mandalorian. I don't know why it's here, why we spend so much time with it. This may have been an awesome plot line in some other series. Trust me, I just saw your slate. You have a ton of shows to throw this into, but it doesn't need to be here. It really doesn't. And what bothers me most is not so much with how much filler there is or side stories or whatever. It's the fact that the show doesn't seem to take the time to set anything up for the finale. It's just all of a sudden we're there ready to take Mandalore back. I saw this on Twitter. I thought this while I was watching the show. It's when are we going to start finding out what this series is leading to? What is the point of season 3? And yes, we know it's the eventual retaking of Mandalore, but the show does not tell you that. From the start of episode 1 to the end, the story should have led to that story beat. We should have been learning about the history of Mandalore and seeing Mando seek out people to help him. Episode 6, the end of that, should have been what majority of the show is. And I know some people may disagree with me on that, but I think that would have been way cooler. Seeing Mando and Bo seek out Sabine and other Mandalorians that we know about. That to me feels like it would have been better. And even seeing the resistance to the retaking of Mandalore early on as well. Establish Moff Gideon escaping in the first or second episode and actually focus on what he's doing. Give him reasons to why he doesn't want the Mandalorians to retake Mandalore. Make him more than just a baddie. We don't need to sympathize with him, but we need to understand why he's against all of this. And I feel like we get all that way too late. We don't even see him till the 7th episode, which I think is a huge wasted opportunity. We should have also probably spent more time learning and seeing why Mando wants to take back Mandalore. So often throughout the series, it felt like Mando was just following everyone else's lead. He was just doing what everyone else was doing. They were like, yeah, we should go retake Mandalore. He said, yes, let's do it. Very rarely does Mando actually take initiative. I think this leads me to the other problem I had with this season, is that Mando is no longer the main character. Bo-Katan is really the Mandalorian for this season. And don't get me wrong, I really like Bo-Katan. I think she was great in Clone Wars. I really do. I think she's a super interesting character. But the reason I watch this show, the reason why I want to watch The Mandalorian, is to see Mando and Grogu. I don't really want to see a Bo-Katan series. I really don't. This whole switching up the main character thing that Disney does in a ton of their shows is really annoying. I really just want to be able to follow the title character for one whole show. Like, we've seen this with Kenobi, we've seen this with Boba Fett, and now we're seeing it with Mando. And really, I'm kind of scared we're going to see that in Andor. What makes matters worse is the fact that Mando is just so helpless and weak this whole season. It seems like he is constantly being defeated or having to be saved by someone. The only moment where I felt like we were seeing the real Mando again was that awesome hallway sequence in the finale. But we have to wait 8 episodes to get back to that point. I really wish they made Mando more of a hero, more of a leader in this season, and actually focused in on him and gave him a little bit more backstory, a little bit more background to see why he cares about retaking Mandalore. I know I've already said that. And I really thought it would have been cool to see him lead the Mandalorians to retake Mandalore. I thought that was what his whole story was going to. This child who was saved by Mandalorians, was adopted into their culture, became one of them, eventually leading lifelong Mandalorians to retake their homeworld, I thought was what his whole arc was leading to. Now sure, I think season 3 was a little quick on that. I guess that's not what it was leading to at all. I'm pretty sure they're trying to go back to the roots of the show in season 4, and I can appreciate that. But they just missed the mark on Mando here. And with that, I'm really disappointed. The Mandalorian went from one of the best things Disney did with Star Wars to being like the rest of what we get on Disney+. Just content. Something to justify your subscription. I hope this series can redeem itself in season 4, but Lucasfilm doesn't have the best track record with their Star Wars shows. All I ask is you just don't do the same mistakes you did here with Andor Season 2. Please. That's about it for me, though. Let me know what you thought of The Mandalorian Season 3 down in the comment section below. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? What did you think? Let me know. But as always, guys, I love you all so much. I hope you all have an incredible day. And until next time, peace out, bro skillets.